Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling from a very early morning here in Southwest Missouri. It's about 6:15 right now. I'm getting ready to head up, or I'm on my way to Truman Lake for my practice day at the BFL tournament we have up at Truman Lake tomorrow. And what I want to do in today's video, I want to explain to you how to formalize a game plan when you go fishing. Because today is a prime example of what I'm talking about. You know, I only got to practice for like 3 hours on Wednesday. Didn't fish yesterday, and I've got probably 5 hours to fish today, practice where I have to get back. And I want to sort of lay out to you guys the process that I use to formalize a game plan and find some fish. Now, whether it works or not, we'll see later today, but I sort of want to run you through the process and maybe you can apply it to your own situation. It might help you find some fish a little bit sooner too. Also, guys, before we get started, I just want to remind you that Mega Bass has got some really good sales right now on the Tackle Warehouse website. There are actually some sales they have on the front page. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to take advantage of that. And also, guys, we do have our summer Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns up on the site. If you guys would like to check those out, much appreciated there, and appreciate you guys dealing with the plugs every day. Okay, guys, here's what you have to take in consideration. It's like one of the big things. It didn't matter if you're practicing, for a tournament or if you're just fishing for fun. You have to fish the conditions. So when I woke up this morning, it's raining right now. We've got like a sort of a light rain. It's pretty warm out, heavy overcast. The forecast to me looks like it's going to be raining all day long or some type of a light rain. But for me, more importantly, I have to look at the weather tomorrow, because one of the things, if you're fishing on a multiple day trip, you have to plan out, especially for a tournament, you have to plan out how to approach the tournament for the day of the tournament. Now, say for example, if I went fishing today and it's cloudy and rainy, and then tomorrow the weather was forecast to be sunny, with no clouds at all, that's going to be a completely different scenario on how you need to approach the day. But since the weather looks like, I looked at the weather forecast, it looks like we're going to have pretty similar conditions tomorrow, cloudy with a chance of rain. I feel that whatever I figure out today is probably going to hold up tomorrow. Okay, so here's how I go about it. Now, you'd have to apply it to your own lake, specifically. But right now, we're in the early summer pattern. Truman Lake is about 5 or 6 foot high, 5 or 6 foot above normal, and there's a lot of flooded cover in the lake. There's a lot of flooded bushes and trees. The water visibility is pretty decent for Truman. It's not like it's a mud pit. So we got some pretty good fishing conditions with a lot of different options. Now, given this, when you talk about, and here, I'm just completely talking about Truman Lake right now. This isn't like something that applies anywhere. It applies to my situation here, but you can go through the same process as what I'm talking about. I know, since we're in an early summer time frame, that a lot of those fish want to move deeper, and a lot of those fish are probably deeper right now. So there are two different options in this tournament that I feel exists. Number one is fishing deeper, fishing that. In a Truman, deep is relative because it is an off-colored lake. So when you're talking about fishing deeper Truman, you're talking about like fishing points and drop-offs and stuff in anywhere between, say, 5 to 15 foot of water. That is probably going to be the best option. If I had to guess, the tournament is probably going to get won by somebody throwing a football head jig, a big worm, a deep diving crankbait, or spotlighting for bass out off the deeper. More than likely spotlight for bass is going to win, because that's just how all the tournaments are won anymore. And there's also going to be some type of a heavy cover bite in and around the flooded cover. So given the fact that I can do both, I can fish deep, I can fish shallow, but the problem I have here is when you're looking for deeper fish, you're looking for spots. You're not looking to run a pattern. So I'm looking for like those 1 or 2 points that have a school of fish on it. And the odds for me, as far as in my mind, how I'm approaching it, the odds of me are a lot less, since I've got 5 hours to practice, that I'm going to run into those offshore fish, where those fish are schooled up. So therefore, I'm going to commit completely to fishing the shallow flooded cover in today's practice period. Now, given that, it's like, okay, I'm thinking, like I'm driving to the lake right now, and I'm thinking about my thought process. Now, obviously, pitching and flipping is going to be at the foremost front of my mind. That's going to be my main focus today, because I just think that's how those fish like to set up. But given the fact it's cloudy and rainy, and you do have some decent water clarity, I've also got to try some reaction bait, some moving bait. So I've got, some topwater lures, I've got some, chatter baits, I've got some swim baits, something that I can probably try to run alongside the cover to get those fish that are cruising on the perimeter of that cover out of there in the cloudy water, the cloudy weather. Now, obviously, this would be the preferable way to fish. If I could cover water with a moving bait and draw those bigger fish out of those bushes, that would be ideal. But it just remains to be seen as far as the mood and the personality of the fish, if they're set up to be caught like that. So that's something I have to determine today with it. Now, let's say, for example, I go out there and I fish for a couple hours. Say I go out and get a couple flipping bites, and I'm back in a creek or whatever, and I can tell there's some fish using the bushes, and I'm getting some flipping bites. And then for a couple hours, I try those reaction baits in those same type of areas. Now, I know the fish are there, but if I fish there for a couple hours and do not get a bite, tomorrow I probably won't even take those baits with me. I'll probably just have 4 flipping sticks out on the deck and completely focus on flipping. But if I go out there and I get 5 or 6 decent bites on a reaction bait, that's going to be a completely different scenario, especially the size of the fish based upon. So I'm looking for a number of bites, and I'm looking for the size of the fish before I determine how I want to go spend my time in the tournament. Now, you've always got to maintain an open mind. That's one thing about bass fishing. You've got to be open-minded, but at the same time, if you're going to do well, you've got to make a commitment. So this is the big dilemma that we have as tournament anglers, is you have to balance being open-minded with being committed to what you're doing. The way that you win tournaments, unless you're spotlighting for bass or you're fishing spots, is you have to commit to a technique. So what I mean by that, let's say that I've committed to the technique of flipping, and I feel that that's going to give me my best odds. I don't want to waste any time doing anything other than that technique that's going to produce the better fish. So I have to refine it even further. Just because I'm flipping and pitching, that's an oversimplification. I have to figure out how the fish are positioned within that cover to be caught flipping. I have to figure out the type of cover as far as the type of tree. It could be, there's 5 or 6 different species of trees flooded in the lake. Sometimes they're going to set up on certain type of trees. Then I have to figure out how the fish are positioned within the cover. Are they in the middle of it, or are they, on the outside 30% of the perimeter? Are they on specific type of bushes? Are they on the outside of the bushes? Do they want a jig? What color jig do they want? Do they want a soft plastic? What profile? Do they want a worm? Do they want a creature bait? Do they want a half-ounce sinker, or do they want a quarter-ounce sinker? So there's a lot of variables that I have to determine, but if I commit to that, I can do that. I have the time to figure that stuff out. But if I spend 30 minutes throwing a crankbait, 30 minutes throwing a spinnerbait, 30 minutes flipping a jig, I segment myself too much, and I get spun out a little bit with that. So the way that I approach a tournament is I try to, and it's been successful for me more than not, guys. I've won almost $2 million fishing tournaments in my career, won Bassmaster events, so it's relatively successful. The way that I approach my pre-practice day is I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to find a large area of the lake, a specific geographical part of the lake that I've got confidence that there's fish using, and I've got to commit to 1 or 2 different techniques, mainly flipping and pitching with that. And to me, that's the recipe for how I go about approaching tournaments, and it's been pretty successful. But ultimately, guys, if I could leave you with one thing as far as when you're trying to formalize a game plan, is just try to understand it's always that balance between being open-minded and making a commitment to what you're doing. And usually it can be one or the other. Sometimes, it can be a little bit of both. Sometimes it can be one or the other, but that's just the sort of the system that I've developed. So anyway, guys, I'll give you all a a post-practice report when I get off the water tonight, and then of course, you know, I'll give you guys a tournament wrap up after it's over tomorrow. So anyway, guys, have a good day. We'll talk later.